So is it just me, or has Donald Trump's mental issues just gotten worse and worse, especially over these past few weeks? We have been witnessing just a complete and total cognitive collapse with Donald Trump, and it is amazing us that the corporate media refuses to call this out because it is so frequent. We know how they talked about it throughout President Biden's campaign, but they refuse to acknowledge it with Donald Trump, and if they're not going to, we will. Let me show you some clips. This one is from Trump's fake town hall with Sarah Huckabee Sanders, where he's asked how he'll bring grocery prices down, and he winds up ranting about windmills. Play it.
Mom of 3, a grandmother of 7, and 3 great-grands, a registered nurse, retired nurse. So I know the cost that goes into raising children and running a household.
Yeah.
People just can't survive now. How are you going to bring down the cost of food and groceries?
Good. Very good. Thank you. So we have to start always with energy. Always. I don't want to be boring about it, but there's no bigger subject. It covers everything. If you make donuts, if you make cars, whatever you make, energy is a big deal. And we're going to get that. It's my ambition to get your energy bill within 12 months down 50%. If I can do that, we've done a hell of a job. 5-0, not 15, 50. Interest rates are going to follow, and actually they're going to follow for another reason. The economy is now not good. And interest rates, you'll see they'll do the rate cut and all the political stuff tomorrow, I think. And, will he do a half a point? Will he do a quarter of a point? But the reason is because the economy is not good. Otherwise, you wouldn't be able to do it. But we're going to get interest rates down, and we got to work with our farmers. Our farmers are being decimated right now. They're being absolutely decimated. And, one of the reasons is we allow a lot of farm product into our country. We're going to have to be a little bit like other countries. We're not going to allow so much We're going to let our farmers go to work. And I don't know if you remember, I love the farmers because, I had many meetings as president. I have this gorgeous room with this beautiful table that seats about 35 people. And I was with the farmers. Usually everybody wants something. They all want subsidy. But I was with the farmers. And I think you might have been there, actually, Sarah. I said, look, fellas, we're going to get you such a beautiful subsidy, meaning I'm going to do things. And one of the people raises in, sir, honestly, we don't want a subsidy. This is the first time this ever happened to me. Everyone they want money. They want to build windmills. We want money with these windmills. Anyway, but you know what? It was amazing. He said, almost tears in his eyes, they were getting decimated. We don't want a subsidy. We just want a...
So here's the clip when he was giving an economic address in New York City a couple weeks ago. He was asked how he would make childcare affordable. Here was his infamous, rambling, bizarre answer.
If you win in November, can you commit to prioritizing legislation to make childcare affordable? And if so, what specific piece of legislation will you advance?
Well, I would do that, and we're sitting down. I was we had Senator Marco Rubio, and my daughter Ivanka was so impactful on that issue. It's a very important issue. But I think when you talk about the kind of numbers that I'm talking about, because look, childcare is childcare. There's something, you have to have it. In this country, you have to have it. But when you talk about those numbers compared to the kind of numbers that I'm talking about by taxing foreign nations at levels that they're not used to, but they'll get used to it very quickly. And it's not going to stop them from doing business with us, but they'll have a very substantial tax when they send product into our country. Those numbers are so much bigger than any numbers that we're talking about, including childcare, that it's going to take care. We're going to have, I look forward to having no deficits within a fairly short period of time, coupled with the reductions that I told you about on waste and fraud and all of the other things that are going on in our country. Because I have to stay with childcare. I want to stay with childcare, but those numbers are small relative to the kind of economic numbers that I'm talking about, including growth, but growth also headed up by what the plan is that I just told you about. We're going to be taking in trillions of dollars, and as much as childcare is talked about as being expensive, it's relatively speaking not very expensive compared to the kind of numbers we'll be taking in. We're going to make this into an incredible country that can afford to take care of its people, and then we'll worry about the rest of the world. Let's help other people. But we're going to take care of our country first. This is about America first. It's about make America great again. We have to do it because right now we're a failing nation. So we'll take care of it. Thank you. Very good question. Thank you.
Did you get that? I definitely have. I have no idea what I don't think anybody has any idea what he said there.
Hey everyone, as you know, I'm a dad. So let's talk about something that's really important that most people don't realize. Like, did you know there actually aren't any requirements for baby food companies to test their products for chemical contaminants? 93% of parents are concerned about the presence of toxic levels of heavy metals in baby food. And 95% of parents believe the US needs to raise its standards when it comes to baby food safety. There have been tons of headlines recently unveiling the lack of regulation on baby food in the US, while the European Union has extremely strict standards. Little Spoon, the company known for changing the game for baby, toddler, and big kid foods, is disrupting the baby food industry again with radical transparency when it comes to baby food. Little Spoon is the first and only food brand in the US to set strict limits for more than 500 toxins and contaminants based on the best in-class EU standards. And if their products don't meet these standards, they won't sell it. It's that simple. Peace of mind delivered. They surveyed 2,000 parents across the country so they could understand what parents are most concerned about and help provide peace of mind for their customers. And wow, did they deliver. Look, trust me, I use Little Spoon with Elijah all the time, my son, and he absolutely loves it. I know your kid will love it too. America has literally never seen baby food this transparent. You can see all of Little Spoon's baby food safety standards in detail and shop their products for babies, toddlers, and big kids on littlespoon.com. Get 30% off your first order if you go to littlespoon.com/Meidas and enter our code Meidas at checkout to save 30% off your first order. That's littlespoon.com/Meidas to save 30% off.
Back to the fake town hall with Sarah Huckabee Sanders. Donald Trump is still being triggered by Kamala Harris's comments at the debate about his rallies and his crowd size and about people leaving those rallies. So he goes on a tangent and starts rambling about it. Check this out.
She said, I don't think I've ever said this before. So we do these rallies. They're massive rallies. Everybody stays till the end, by the way. You know, when she said that, well, your rallies, people leave. Honestly, nobody does. And if I saw them leaving, I'd say, and ladies and gentlemen, make America great again, and I'd get the hell out, okay? Because I don't want people leaving. But I do have to say, so I give these long, sometimes very complex sentences and paragraphs, but they all come together. I do it a lot. I do it with Raising Cane, that story. I do it with the story on the catapults on the aircraft carriers. I do it with a lot of different stories. When I mention Dr. Hannibal Lecter, I'm using that as an example of people that are coming in from Silence of the Lambs. I use it. They say, it's terrible. So they say, so I'll give this long, complex area. For instance, that I talked about a lot of different territory. The bottom line is, I said, the most important thing. We're going to bring more plants into your state and this country to make automobiles. We're going to be bigger than before. But the fake news, there's a lot of them back there. You know, for a town hall, there's a lot of people. But the fake news likes to say, oh, he was rambling. No, that's not rambling. That's genius when you can connect the dots. You gotta now, Sarah, if you couldn't connect the dots, you got a problem. But every dot was connected and many stories were told in that little paragraph.
And of course, there was the moment in Las Vegas when Donald Trump started breaking out his story about sharks and electrocution and his uncle at MIT and batteries, and the whole thing got very weird very quickly.
So I said, let me ask you a question. And he said, nobody ever asked this question. And it must be because of MIT, my relationship to MIT. Very smart. He goes, I say, what would happen if the boat sank from its weight and you're in the boat and you have this tremendously powerful battery and the battery's now underwater and there's a shark that's approximately 10 yards over there. By the way, a lot of shark attacks lately. Do you notice that? A lot of shark. I watched some guys justifying it today. Well, they weren't really that angry. They bit off the young lady's leg because of the fact that they were They were not hungry, but they misunderstood who she was. These people are crazy. He said there's no problem with sharks. They just didn't really understand a young woman swimming now really got decimated, and other people too, a lot of shark attacks. So I said, so there's a shark 10 yards away from the boat, 10 yards, or here. Do I get electrocuted? If the boat is sinking, water goes over the battery, the boat is sinking. Do I stay on top of the boat and get electrocuted? Or do I jump over by the shark and not get electrocuted? Because I will tell you, he didn't know the answer. He said, nobody's ever asked me that question. I said, I think it's a good question. I think there's a lot of electric current coming through that water. But you know what I'd do if there was a shark or you get electrocuted? I'll take electrocution every single time. I'm not getting near the shark.
I think the way Donald Trump speaks and the fact that people hear him so frequently, I think sometimes they just kind of tune him out and they don't realize how crazy he actually is. So one of the things that we've begun to do here at the MeidasTouch Network is when Donald Trump has these moments where he just rambles on and on, we will transcribe his speeches into words, into text, just so people could read them and truly see how deranged they are. So we're putting this one up right now. You could see it here, and feel free to screenshot this and send it around. We posted this on our social media accounts. By the way, make sure that you're following us on our Instagram accounts, on our TikTok account, on Facebook, on Threads, on X, and everywhere. Make sure you're subscribed right here to this YouTube channel. Every account is at MeidasTouch, but we share graphics like this every day and clips from the shows, and we hope to see you there. But it truly shows how deranged he is in written form. Now, I think this must be rubbing off on Donald Trump's running mate, J.D. Vance, because J.D. Vance has been having a lot of these moments lately. Like the other day, J.D. Vance called Haiti Haitian while he was trying to spread his lie that has led to all these mass evacuations and bomb threats that have been happening in the small town of Springfield, Ohio. Check this out.
Over the last few years, 20,000 migrants, primarily from Haiti, have been dropped into Springfield, Ohio.
And one of the things I love about Vice President Harris is she knows how to get under Donald Trump's skin. And here is her very simple response on weaponization during the debate. Watch how it triggers Trump so much that he just starts rambling back after her answer.
Weaponization of the Justice Department.
Well, let's talk about extreme and understand the context in which this election in 2024 is taking place. The United States Supreme Court recently ruled that the former president would essentially be immune from any misconduct if he were to enter the White House again. Understand, this is someone who has openly said he would terminate, I'm quoting, terminate the Constitution of the United States, that he would weaponize the Department of Justice against his political enemies. Someone who has openly expressed disdain for members of our military. Understand what it would mean if Donald Trump were back in the White House with no guardrails, because certainly we know now the court won't stop him. We know J.D. Vance is not going to stop him. It's up to the American people
Vice President
to stop
Harris.
him.
Thank you. Lindsay?
Vice President Harris, in your last run for president.
Weaponized, please. This is the one that weaponized, not me. She weaponized. I probably took a bullet to the head because of the things that they say about me. They talk about democracy. I'm a threat to democracy. They're the threat to democracy
President
with a fake Russia investigation
we do have a lot
that went nowhere.
We have a lot to get to.
The other day, Governor Walz hit at such a good point. It's that so many people come up to you and and you hear this on the news all the time when they interview Trump people. They go, I don't like his attitude. I don't like the things he says. I don't like the things that he's done, but I like his policies. And you're always like, well, what policies? Let's hear what policies they are. Governor Walz explained this better than I can. So let me play this clip.
This is important. This is important, and you all know it. Because, look, we all deal with it. Friends, neighbors, family. Oh, I like Donald Trump. I don't really like how he swears and gets convicted of felonies and found liable for assaulting women. I don't really like that. Good, I'm glad you don't like that. But then they always go, I like his proposals. Which one? Taking your health care? Forcing women to bleed out in parking lots because they can't get health care? Tax cuts for billionaires? And I say this, if you're a billionaire and that's all you care about, he may be your guy. But if you're a working class person, a middle class person, a community member, I can't find much there. And the thing is, you don't have to look very far. He's not giving you much detail, except it's really great. They made it easy for us. They printed 900 plus pages in Project 2025.
Governor Walz is just so good at this. Anyway, here's a video that we put together here at the MeidasTouch Network. It's 3 minutes straight of Donald Trump confusing and forgetting people's names, the names of cities he's in, and more. Check it out.
I think he should take a cognitive test like I did. I took a cognitive test and I aced it. Doc Ronnie Johnson. Does everyone know Ronnie Johnson, congressman from Texas? He was the White House doctor. How good did Elise Stepanek do? You know, we've endorsed Dr. Oz. We've endorsed JP, right? JD Mandel, and he's doing great. Jimmy Connors is good. He's also happy.
Mike Bolton, John Bolton is here. Mike Bolton, as you know, is in Russia.
And there was progress today. I look forward to solving it.
Thank you, Steve.
It was Trump's fault. It's always Trump's fault. Can it ever be like Rick Gates's fault? I mean, it's always Trump's fault, Rick.
By the way, they never report the crowd on January 6th. You know, Nikki Haley, you know, did you know they destroyed all of the information, all of the evidence, everything, deleted and destroyed all of it because of lots of things. Like Nikki Haley is in charge of security. We offered her 10,000 people. We have some of our great business leaders and leaders, period, right behind me. I may ask Marilyn Lockheed. We appreciate it very much, Tim Apple. Yes, please, Mr. Kurd.
Thank you very much for your time.
You know what was interesting? Joe Biden won against Barack Hussein Obama. Has anyone ever heard of him? Arrest their leading political opponent, and leading by a lot, including Obama. I'll tell you what, you take a look at Obama and take a look at some of the things that he's done. And Putin, you know, has so little respect for Obama that he's starting to throw around the nuclear word today. You heard that, nuclear.
Thanks for giving your first comments on the bill on this show. It means a lot to us. We appreciate it, sir. Thanks a lot.
You have a deal. Thanks a lot. Bye. Joe Bright, this guy is just the worst. So will Christian ever run for president against you?
And you heard the prime minister, you heard
Maybe have Matt Blum speak next, because he's been so incredible in so many ways. He fights so hard. He loves his state. He loves the people. Think of it, a new branch of the United States military, United States Armed Forces, called Air Force. I never talked about that. That's something we never talked about. But what we just saw, we just left pleasure. A very big hello to a place where we've done very well, Sioux Falls. Thank you very much, Sioux Falls. Thank you. So, Sioux City, let me ask you, and the worst president in the history of our country who is cognitively impaired, we would be in World War II very quickly. The worst president in the history of our country will be a fading nightmare. He'll be I have fading memory.
Well, there you have it. And honestly, this take could probably be hours and hours and hours long. There is so much footage, especially recently, of Donald Trump experiencing this complete and utter mental collapse. And we are going to stay on top of the story here at the MeidasTouch Network, even if the corporate media does not want to pay attention to it. You have our word. Thank you so much for watching. We appreciate it. Help us get to 3.5 million subscribers here on YouTube. Just hit that subscribe button right now and hit the bell, by the way. You know, you can hit the bell. You get notifications whenever we make a post. So make sure you do that. Make sure you add the MeidasTouch podcast wherever you listen to podcasts, and check out our website, MeidasNews.com, for all the latest updates. Thank you so much, and I'll see you soon.
Love this video? Make sure you stay up to date on the latest breaking news and all things Meidas by signing up to the MeidasTouch newsletter at MeidasTouch.com/newsletter.